Coming up, MTV Movies sits down with Wakanda's finest.
I have to learn how to fly.
Oh.
I was like,
And that is my conspiracy theory.
Unsubscribe from life. It's just...
Yeah. Hello and welcome to MTV Movies with me, Hannah Flint, and the brilliant Tyrell Charles.
Hello.
Along with the purple.
I love it. Yeah, vibranium purple.
I'm feeling very regal today.
Yeah, very kingly and queenly. Love it. Now, before we start, there is definitely going to be spoilers in this episode, so make sure you go back and watch the movie first, and then come here and watch this episode.
You have been warned. Okay, first up, here's what happened when T met the Wakanda Forever cast.
Well, guys, I know from the first movie, and like it comes up a lot. You know, everyone's running around to you saying Wakanda Forever all the time. But Winston, I'm sorry to ask you this. How often do you see people saying M'Baku can blow my M'Bak out?
too often, far too often online.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing on Twitter, and you know, you just give people the freedom to express themselves. That's what they want to say. So fun.
And there's a lot of action in this film as well.
A lot of action.
I mean, specifically, you're flying around a lot.
Yeah.
I want to ask, what's the logistics of that? Are you on like wires? What's happening there?
I have to learn how to fly.
I mean, you've been Okoye for a little while now, since 2018. With Okoye's fighting style, it's very spear heavy. Now Michonne over in Walking Dead is very sword proficient. As an actor doing both of those styles, which like combat style have you preferred?
I mean, I love them both. I think they're both beautiful weapons. I love both weapons. I really respect both weapons. I love how they're both rooted in very particular cultures. You know, the spear is a very African cultural weapon, and the katana is very Japanese. I just love that about them, and how they're just very ancient weapons that still really do the job. There's just a lot you can do with the spear with your body, which can, result in really needing to be careful with it, because you have to take care of your shoulder joint. And there's something very, defining and exacting about the spear. So I can't choose between them. I just think they're both really, really beautiful, gracious weapons, if there can be such a thing for a weapon.
Well, at the end of the movie, there was a lot of really great Wakandan food going on. I saw a lot of barbecues and stuff happening. On set, was there a lot of traditional African dishes or Caribbean dishes flying around? I like to assume.
No, there wasn't. But there were days, those market scenes where all the fruits were out. I would be yumming on fruit the entire time. And I would always pick up the tamarins, the raw tamarins.
Right.
And eat those. And someone was like, they spray the fruit.
Oh.
And I was like,
Oh my God.
Great to see the cast there. Lots more to come from them shortly. We have to get into the early bit of it first. Of course, we are without Chadwick Boseman, who originated the role of Black Panther, T'Challa. Tell me a bit more how you felt about that.
This whole film really felt personal. I mean, that first scene of T'Challa's funeral, that's the first moment where I just started shedding tears. First of about 7 moments where I was just weeping.
Yeah, it was, I don't have waterproof mascara, so it was definitely black down the side of my face.
I love that they were wearing white during that scene. Again, very a certain traditional African cultures and certain African countries wear white in honor of the death. I love that. I love all of those amazing, impressive details. Such a good scene, heartbreaking. Me personally, I was a big fan of Chadwick Boseman, so that sent me down. That sent me down a very deep crying path.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, Namor, I've been waiting so long for him to make an appearance in the MCU. I love him as a character. He's just so sexy, and then when they cast Tenoch Huerta as Namor, first I love that because it makes sure that he's not only the original Marvel Comics character, but by making him his background and his culture part of Mesoamerica and indigenous, rather than just coming in. He's centered. He's been here for a very long time.
Namor, he did a lot, including killing the great Queen Ramonda. That was a big moment in the film. That was again another moment where I wept like an absolute baby.
Well, yeah, it was amazing because it felt so organically. When I was watching, I was like, wait, look how many women there are. It just seems to be black women absolutely running everything.
Yeah. I mean, that was the case in the first film. That's what I really loved about the first film, is that it was there, but it wasn't they didn't have to necessarily say it to you. Like Wakanda is very much built on obviously a state of equality, but like the Dora Milaje, you know, all women sort of guard. Even though Queen Ramonda wasn't the Black Panther, she was still sort of the mother, the sort of that deity of the country. His sister like runs the entire sort of science. Like everything aside from T'Challa himself was pretty much like all women led. And then with T'Challa gone, it's kind of it's sort of exposed this now properly. It's like, yeah, without T'Challa, actually, if you look around, these amazing women are everywhere.
Here's tea with some more of the cast.
Lupita, so this film I found, and the first film actually, is a brilliant showcase of like black women, powerful black women, talented black women. I wondered if you had a message for the young girls that might look up to Nakia or any of the women in this film.
It's in the DNA of Wakanda. That's what we created. The feminist agenda in this film is that Wakanda is a country where females have equitable power with men. It is not remarkable, it's the norm. And I think that was what was so inspiring of the first. And so in the absence of T'Challa, we organically follow this people around him who happen to be women. And they have agency and they're dealing with the grief in very different ways. So we see a platter of very different female expression. And that's important for women and men to see, you know, the power in a woman doesn't look the same. You know, and that's valuable, and I'm really excited for kids who are going to be seeing this, and it's going to, program or condition their worldview in a positive way.
No, but you do have a lot of scenes with, of course, Danai Gurira, but also Michaela Cole, who's kind of, a newcomer. What was it like filming beside her?
It was fun working with her. We trained together. So before we started working on set, we were training. And that was just fun because Michaela, you know her?
We've met.
she is fun. And she is, what I love about working with her is, Mama was very, very serious when I work in Wakanda because of the character that I play. And she plays a similar character, but she's just a different personality. And I love people to see that. So there are also strong warriors that have different opinions and that go for what they believe in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Namor's story is directly linked to a lot of like Mesoamerican culture, which is something that I feel like overlaps with you. So I just wanted to know, like, why do you think it's important to so deeply explore that native history that's not really like associated with Namor in the comics?
Yeah, well, I think it's a good move, and it's about representation, of course, and it's important. And I'm always asking for that kind of representation that with dignity and proud and love. But at the same time, I think it's really good. It goes really well with the character because it provides him with, of course, different background, but this background you can explore, you can go deep in that, the Mesoamerican cultures, and you can find a lot of stories, you can find a lot of things, culturally speaking. So I think in many levels is really, it's wonderful, this new version of Namor.
What is it that you think about the Dora Milaje that everyone finds so inspiring?
I think they're really kind of an unprecedented look, this army of women who, the look, the bald head, the tats, the sort of the regalness, the sort of authority that they wield, but their authority is for the good and not the spear. It's just a beautiful spectacle, and the sort of very graceful way that they move together, and I think it's a really cool, very, very cool thing that we've just never seen before.
Speaking of the cast, there were so many amazing performances in this movie. I personally think award-worthy performances, but who stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is what the MCU benefits from. It attracts world caliber actors, and who is more world class than Angela Bassett.
But you said she went to go and save Riri Williams. That's a performance that I loved in this film. Dominique Thorne playing the successor, essentially, of Iron Man, of Tony Stark's Iron Man. Super genius. Now, I guess one of, if not the next to Shuri, smartest characters in the MCU, developing, first of all, technology to find vibranium, which even Shuri was surprised she could do, which is incredible. But also, just casually, just having an Iron Man suit, just in the garage, just chilling, waiting to be used. Absolute, such a sick flex. She's, 19 in this film, studying at MIT.
Yeah.
She was so good. And for me, I think she was probably the main comic relief of the film.
Yes, definitely. I feel like this is definitely Letitia Wright's movie, though.
100%. Shuri is the beating heart of this film, and Letitia Wright, oh my goodness. Every single moment in this film, where, especially the moments where she really just got into her feelings and into her emotions, absolutely incredible.
Was there anything else that kind of stood out for you in cameos or roles?
One who I thought was brilliant, Winston Duke as M'Baku. Some would argue, I've kind of spoken to some people, some would argue that M'Baku didn't get as much to do in this film as they might have wanted, but I actually think he got more to do than he did in the first film. Because where he wasn't maybe so much like the big combatant in this film, like there was pretty much no one that was like, everyone he fought was definitely stronger than him, right, all the Talokan people. But he had much more emotionally to do. He was that sort of like sounding board for Shuri. He took on this almost brotherly role to her.
Surrogate brother, right?
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Every time she wanted to go down a path of revenge, I found it so interesting that it was always him being like, no, what's in your heart? Because he was the guy that was always about violence and anger.
And no one has made eating a carrot look as funny since Bugs Bunny.
It's true.
That guy.
So what are your top movie moments?
Angela Bassett's UN speech. I mean, she just nailed it. She made everyone slightly like shrink.
Yeah.
She literally took so much space, and it was especially when she wasn't even saying anything.
Yes.
Just a look. I would, if Angela Bassett looked at me like that, I think I'd just be like,
Yeah.
I just don't think I'd recover.
Unsubscribe from life. It's just...
Yeah.
The Killmonger return was a big deal. I did not see it coming. I pride myself on roughly at least, as I watched the film, guessing certain plot points, or at least like assuming what's gonna happen. Killmonger, I did not have in my bingo card. That end line was so cool. You know, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be noble like your brother? Or you're gonna take care of business? Oh, that one's stuck in my head.
My number one. Every single time Namor rose up out of the water, I was just like, he is so fine.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love that his suit is basically him wearing Speedos.
Yeah.
They've got like a bit of a short snout, but
A bit more modest.
chest was out. You know, long live the superhero bod. I'm here for it.
I don't think you're alone in that statement whatsoever. I'm fairly certain a lot of people are gonna come out
Am
this
I
movie.
just gonna fast forward to the bits with Nick?
Play it in slow motion every time he arises. Okay, now get your tears ready. We need to talk about the mid-credit scene of this movie. Oh my gosh, my tears were flowing. So yeah, we open up the post-credit, the mid-credit scene. Letitia, Shuri, she's going to have her ceremonial goodbye to T'Challa by burning her ceremonial garms back in Haiti with Nakia. When Nakia comes with a little boy and says, "This is my son, T'Challa's son, your nephew." Bro, I'm getting emotional thinking about it because it's such a good scene. The child of T'Challa comes in. So she's been gone in this movie for about 6 years. She wasn't in Infinity War, she wasn't in Endgame. She's off in Haiti raising the child of the king, Toussaint.
Yes.
But his Wakandan name, I love the line. Again, if we're talking about Easter eggs, I love the little "Who are you?" because they did that a lot in the first film. And he was like, "I am Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa."
Yeah. But I mean, I know you're the theories guy,
Go for
but
it.
my theory is this. We have now had animated series at What If, and we've imagined what if T'Challa became Star-Lord, right? We've also got Ant-Man and the Quantumania. We've had all these things about timelines and Loki with different universes and the metaverse and all that jazz. As much as I love it that they've had a woman Black Panther, and that's established, and Shuri was Black Panther in the actual comic books as well, so it's not without, you know, backup. But I think that they will try and get back to have a male Black Panther as soon as they can. You know how they had you know, they could have a different character who's like, he's Black Panther in another universe on another timeline.
Right.
I think they might bring him in, or they might have the child, T'Challa, in the future because Kang goes back and forth in time. And that is my conspiracy theory.
My theory was very similar in terms of like going to the future, but like this isn't the only Avenger child. He's like one of many in Phase 4 that popped up. Like Thor ended with a daughter too. Wanda has her two kind of sort of children floating around.
Ant-Man daughter.
I reckon if they don't age these kids up, what they could do is a similar thing where some sort of adventure, maybe Ant-Man, maybe someone else, goes to the future, and maybe all the rest of the standard Avengers are now dead, like long dead in the future, and it's all the kids grown up. It's clever, it's interesting, because you know there are some kids that have introduced that are a little bit older, some that are a little bit younger. It's hard to see who's gonna gel with who as like a young Avenger, you know?
The kids are all right.
The kids are all right, it's very true. That's all from us today. Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe below, and we'll see you back here next time. Wakanda Forever.
Oh,
No?
okay.
Okay. All right.
Wakanda
Lupita Nyong'o.
Forever.
No? What?
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
We'll work on it. See you later.